The excitement of witnessing 7-footers with guard skills in basketball has quite died down over the past few years. For sure, the NBA is still continuously populated by these so-called unicorns, but to be honest, most of them just fall short in terms of being a real phenomenon. However, Gonzaga big man Chet Holmgren is definitely someone trying to bring back the excitement about unicorns once again. Cause for a guy who stands 7 feet tall and has a 7'6" wingspan who actually just turned 20, he actually does a lot of things on the basketball court extremely well. In his sole season at Gonzaga, Holmgren averaged a near double-double with 14 points and 9.9 rebounds together with 2.9 assists and 3.7 blocks per game. But there's definitely more to look at beyond his numbers. For starters, Chet Holmgren is the only center in NCAA basketball history to record at least 43 pointers while averaging at least 3 blocks per game in the same season. That in itself, the rare combination of shot blocking and outside shooting ability for his size and age already makes him look like a surefire top 2 selection in this year's draft. But Holmgren is actually more than that. He's also a big man who can defend guys in the perimeter, and at the same time, he led college basketball in terms of shooting percentage at the rim by making 80% of his non-post-up attempts around the basket. To cap it off, Chet is also an elite rebounder who's averaged almost 10 boards per game, who also has the requisite ball handling ability and athleticism needed to make plays from one end of the floor to another. All of those things, in my opinion, should rightfully put Holmgren on the radar to become the top overall pick in this year's draft, despite all the questions as to whether or not he can hold up at the NBA level given his slight 195-pound frame. So what's good guys, it's Real Balls here, and today we'll break down Chet Holmgren's game and why he isn't actually too skinny for the NBA. But before we move on, please make sure to hit that like button or to click that subscribe button if you guys do enjoy these types of content. It only takes a second of your time, but it would be much appreciated. So let's get to it. The Orlando Magic and the OKC Thunder could definitely use a guy like Chet Holmgren, who entering the NBA would already be able to contribute on the defensive end using his above-average size, length, mobility, and on-court awareness. All those attributes explain why Chet was able to put up a total of 117 blocks on an average of 3.7 blocks per game in college, and also why Gonzaga's 91.2 defensive rating ranked in the 99th percentile of the entire NCAA Division I. Well, it's one thing if Chet was simply a lengthy weak side help defender and an elite rim protector, which he actually already is, but again, the guy is more than that. Although I think he doesn't have the same quick twitch hip mobility of Evan Mobley or Bam Adebayo when guarding the perimeter, his ability to change directions and to shuffle his feet in space for a 7-footer should still allow him to constantly be switchable on defense. More importantly, Holmgren is aware of his physical advantages. He knows that he's mobile enough to stay with his man in isolations, and he knows that he's long enough to actually stifle them whenever they try to get a shot off. This is why opponents were limited to 31% shooting when defended by Holmgren in isolation plays. Just like here, you can see Holmgren switching to Paolo Banchero on defense off the pick and pop. Banchero quickly attacks, but watch Holmgren slide his feet before using his size to completely stifle the guy upon approaching the rim. Then here, you can see Holmgren's man receiving the ball on the perimeter. The guy tries to get him with a shot fake, but Chet stays low and waits for his man to try to get a shot off before fully using his verticality to alter the guy's shot without even fouling. In addition, I think what further makes Chet an elite defender is that his mobility and footwork is also aided by his superior basketball IQ and ability to quickly process situations on the floor, which I think are best displayed when he guards two-man actions such as pick and rolls, dribble handoffs, or even multiplayer misdirections. And the numbers actually support Holmgren's case as a great multi-scheme defender, as when he tracked both ball handlers and roll men, Chet has only allowed 30.4% shooting in pick and roll situations, which ranked in the 96th percentile of the entire NCAA Division I. Just like here, you can see Chet surveying the floor as a drop big. Watch how well he uses space to prevent anything from developing in the pick and roll. Then once a pass is made to a sneaky weak side cutter, Chet is able to immediately flip his body towards the basket to block the shot attempt. Again, in this high pick and roll play, you see Chet moving his feet to ice the ball handler, but at the same time, he immediately reads where the pass is going and he rushes to the paint as a help defender before blocking the shot right at the rim. Well, for sure, Holmgren still has defensive flaws. He still tends to bite on pump fakes and he still gets pushed around the rim when guarding post-ups. But because of his size, mobility, and basketball IQ, he should still be an important part of any type of NBA defensive scheme right from day one. Further, when you compare Holmgren's block and steal rates in college to that of the 8 other big men selected in the lottery over the past decade, you'll see that it's quite easy to be optimistic about Chet's projection as a really good NBA level defender. As among the list, Holmgren's 12.7 block rate is actually the 4th best, only behind Jaren Jackson, Anthony Davis, and Mo Bamba, while his 1.7 steal rate is also the 3rd best, trailing only Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid. But the scary thing is, while Chet is already this good of a defender, he also projects to be a legitimate offensive weapon in the NBA. The guy had one of the most efficient offensive seasons in college this year, as his 7.1 offensive box plus minus rating was actually the 2nd best in the entire NCAA Division I, and what's actually intriguing about it is that he was able to do his scoring damage on all 3 levels. First, Holmgren shot a staggering 84% at the rim in college. Although he's not an explosive leaper, the fact that he's got great size and touch around the basket are already good enough reasons to dump the ball to him on the dunker spot. But more so, his great catch radius and timing should also enable him to be a frequent lob threat off pick and roll situations in the NBA. Just like here, you can see Chet standing in the dunker spot, and after receiving the pass, he pounds the ball to get some space and he just goes up strong using his size to finish even against a tough challenge. Then in this pick and roll play, Chet initiates the dribble handoff and you can just see the amount of ground he covers as he rolls to the rim just in time to catch the ball before finishing with the easy dunk. But speaking of pick and rolls, Holmgren was only used as a PNR roll man on a very low 8.2% of all his play types in Gonzaga, which I think is understandable due to the team's offense being heavily built around an interior big man like Drew Timme. But given the limited opportunity, Chet was still able to shoot 80% on non-post-up situations around the basket, so I could only imagine what this guy can do on an NBA floor, which should give him more open lanes to catch the ball because of the wider spacing that it would provide. But then moving on, Chet is also capable of spacing the floor himself, as he's very comfortable launching 3-pointers, whether it be off transition plays or off the catch in the half court. In fact, he was able to shoot a highly efficient 39% from deep in college on a solid volume of 105 total attempts. But the thing is, watching his film, you can see that his shot release is still quite slow, and this is why in the NBA, I think he should at least be able to function as a movement shooter, even just out of basic motions such as handoffs, ghost actions, or side pick and rolls in order for him to get more open looks from deep. But the good thing is, he already showed that he can do that in college. Just like here, you can see Gonzaga running a ghost pick and roll action. Watch how Holmgren relocates from low to high as he sets himself up for a pretty wide open 3-point shot. Then here, you can see Drew Timme initiating a dribble handoff play, and as Holmgren comes out of the weak side, he uses the screen before hopping right into a nice step back 3-pointer. Well, typically, a defensive player of Holmgren's caliber who can also space the floor should already project to be a star in the NBA. But things start to get even more interesting when we try to look for signs of what he can do as an on-ball shot creator moving forward, which to be fair is something that you would expect to look for in someone who's potentially going to be a top overall pick. Well, Holmgren didn't create a lot of shots off the dribble in Gonzaga, but when he did, it's actually hard not to see the special kind of shot-making potential just waiting to be unlocked. Just like here, you see Chet getting the ball in the post. He tries to back his defender down a bit, but once he feels he's got an advantage, he turns and effortlessly drains the unguardable 10-foot fadeaway jumper. Then here, watch how Chet uses his handle to size up his man in the perimeter before casually hitting a nice right-to-left 15-foot pull-up shot. Well, at this point, Holmgren is still vulnerable when creating something out of straight line drives, which is why he has to often rely on his spin moves to avoid contact when attacking the rim. But still, not a lot of 7-footers even have the kind of juice off the dribble that Chet has, and also, not a lot of players would even attempt those 10 to 15-foot turnaround jumpers that he has been draining in the first place. But without a doubt, Holmgren definitely has to progress as a shot maker at the NBA level, and that's because once he's able to create create shots for himself on a more consistent basis, not only would he be given more offensive freedom, but he would also be able to create more opportunities for himself to grow as a passer. While Chet might not have the craft and the advantage creation abilities of Paolo Banchero as a playmaking big man, but because of his size and length, a lot of teams in college still sent double teams when he had the ball in his hands. And at the very least, Holmgren was able to display the ability to regularly find weak side cutters and open shooters when faced by on-ball pressure. That is why I think he should still be at least a capable NBA level passing big man right from day one, while also having all the potential to be an above average playmaker given his size and feel for the game. But despite the unreal two-way potential that Holmgren has, the concerns about his physique and frame could be hard to ignore for a lot of people. But the truth is, Holmgren has time to develop his body while getting stronger, and to be fair, the guy has time and again showed that he can impact the game in a lot of ways without necessarily having to rely too much on physicality. Well, if he stays the way he is, I think he'd still be a useful high-impact NBA player, especially on defense, while also being at least a winning team's third option in offense, although I doubt that's exactly what you're expecting a potential top overall pick to become. But on the other hand, if Holmgren develops his shot making and if he adds the right amount of muscle without sacrificing his mobility, I think it's safe to say that he could become a real superstar level player. Cause again, for such a high impact defender, Chet is also one of the most offensively capable prospects to enter the NBA in quite some time. In fact, since the 2007 to 2008 season, Chet is one of only 7 players to have posted college seasons with a block percentage of at least 10 and a true shooting mark of at least 65. The list includes a couple of elite NBA big men in Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid, and comparing Holmgren's numbers with those two, his 11.9 block percentage is even better than that of Joel Embiid, and his 69.1 true shooting mark is also way higher than what both guys produced. So based on both the numbers and the eye test, it looks like Chet Holmgren could become a real two-way problem in the NBA provided everything falls into place. I think that should make him worth the risk for teams selecting up top the 2022 NBA draft like Orlando and Oklahoma City. So who do you guys think is the most ideal team for Chet Holmgren? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below, and again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.